Okay, so I have a top 10, but I have some
I can do honorable mentions.
honorable mentions. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So first, my honorable mentions: Dazed and Confused, really fun. True Romance, just for the origin of Tarantino of it all. He wrote that film. It's got his vibe. Coneheads, we've talked about on the podcast a few times. This is a movie that deserves to be reckoned with. It's a very funny comedy. And The Sandlot, just a really wonderful, wonderful coming of age baseball movie. What are your honorable mentions?
Yeah, I should have The Sandlot on my 1993 list. I guess I haven't watched it in a while. But yeah, I would probably throw that at least in my honorable mentions. Looks like I've got Wayne's World 2 in 1993. I enjoy Wayne's World 2. Not as good as the first one, but I still like it. There's a Clint Eastwood movie that came out that year that he directed called The Perfect World, which I've always really liked. True Romance is another one of my honorable mentions from that year, same as yours. There's a Jim Sheridan movie starring Daniel Day-Lewis called In the Name of the Father that is very good. And also the Tim Burton, Henry Selick, Nightmare Before Christmas. I like, but I don't love it as much as some other people do. But it's an honorable mention. I enjoy it.
Daniel Day-Lewis had a big year that year. Age of Innocence, also a good movie, came out that year.
Yep.
I'm sure I have a feeling you'll be talking about that in a minute. All right. So my number 10 is Jurassic Park. We talked about that a bit. It's Jurassic Park. I'm not saying more about it.
Yeah. Yeah. 10 for me is Demolition Man.
I love Demolition Man. It's my number 5.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I love it. It's great.
Yeah. Number 9 for me is Falling Down.
Number 9 for me is Falling Down.
Number 8 for me is The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Nice. Good. 8 is Dazed and Confused for me.
Number 7 for me is Last Action Hero. So I had originally said we were going to talk about this a lot in our 1993 podcast. Obviously, we're not doing that. But Last Action Hero, and I've said this on the podcast a few times before, is an amazing send up of Arnold's career in general and action movies writ large. John McTiernan directed it, and you should watch it. Absolutely.
I'll put it on my list because I have never did it. That makes my number 7 movie is What's Love Got to Do with It? The Tina and Ike Turner biopic. My wife and I watched it this year after she passed away, and it's very, very good.
I've never did it either. Annie loves that movie. My wife loves that movie.
It's very good.
My number 6 is Mrs. Doubtfire. This movie got me through my parents' divorce.
Yep.
I like it. I like it so much, mostly because in the end, the parents don't get back together, which is every other divorce movie for kids ever.
Mm-hmm. Number 6 for me is Jane Campion's The Piano.
Never seen it. Dude, 93. What a crazy Holocaust movie year. Number 5 for me. Wait, Jane Campion's The Piano? What am I thinking? Is that a Holocaust movie? No, it's not.
Oh, wait. No, that's one where Holly Hunter is mute.
I'm thinking of The Pianist. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's Polanski.
Right. The Piano. Never seen the Harvey Keitel is in The Piano, right?
Harvey Keitel is in The Piano. Also Sam Neill. Yeah.
Yeah. I've never seen it.
And
never
Anna
did.
Paquin won an Oscar when she was like 11.
Right.
Yeah.
I mentioned number 5 for me is Demolition Man.
Nice. Yeah. Number 5 for me, as you mentioned earlier, is The Age of Innocence.
So if you want to watch Scorsese do a stuffy movie that does move, and also Michelle Pfeiffer is hot, Age of Innocence.
Yeah.
Number 4 for me is Grumpy Old Men, one of the best comedies of the 90s. Just watched it recently because I'm watching every Walter Matthau movie. I've watched 21 movies in a month. And this is near the top. I'm obsessed with this movie. I was worried it wouldn't hold up. It absolutely holds up. Matthau and Lemon are hilarious. Kevin Pollak and Daryl Hannah have nice little roles in it. Even Christopher McDonald has a nice little role in it, and Anne Margaret as the plot engine of the movie is also very good. And Ozzie Davis, don't want to leave him out. He's great too, but not in too much of the movie. And Burgess Meredith. There is so much to love about Grumpy Old Men. That's my number 4.
I probably haven't seen it since it came out, but I do remember loving it at the time. So I'd be happy to revisit it. Number 4 is a movie I did revisit recently, and it is a movie I still love. It's called The Fugitive.
I haven't seen it in so long that I don't have it on my list, but I remember very vividly watching that at summer camp, at sleepaway camp, and being like, this movie's crazy.
Yeah, it still is, man. It's great. Harrison Ford, it's probably might be his best performance.
I buy it. Great. I totally buy that. My number 3, we talked about it a bit earlier, is Philadelphia, the movie that Tom Hanks beat Liam Neeson for the Oscar for.
Yeah, why don't I have that in my 1993 either? That's weird. I should have that.
But you don't. Let's keep going.
But I don't. So my number 3 in that case is Jurassic Park.
You got it. Well, that was my number 10. My number 2, I think, is also your number 2. It's Groundhog Day.
Exactly. Yep. Number 2 is Groundhog Day. Just a movie I literally watch it every year, and I laugh just as hard at the same parts every year.
It started a whole genre of time loop movies.
It did. Yeah. There's a whole list. Do you have a list of those on Letterboxd?
I don't know. I may have deleted it, but I mean, The Girl Who Leapt Through Time, Boss Level, Palm Beach, Palm Springs, excuse me.
Yeah.
So there's so many. And then number 1 is Schindler's List.
Has to be. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us on this very personal episode of Never Did It. If you want to know what is coming out next week, go to our Letterboxd profile. You can find me at Brad Garoon on Letterboxd. I think, Jake, you're Jake Ziegler on Letterboxd.
Yep, it's Jake_Ziegler.
And both of us have pinned to our profiles our Never Did It podcast list. You could also just search for the Never Did It podcast list. And the 2 movies that will be discussed on next week's episode are always at the top of that list. So check that out. And thank you for joining us for Never Did It.